the football. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them ghosts. All from the football, and let's go. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the football chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewell got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really doubt it, yeah. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them, yeah. And kinda y'all flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the football. This for the football. This for the football.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 440 Sports Show. Sorry about the later start this morning. Unfortunately, you can't do an internet-based talk show without internet, and we had all kinds of issues going on over here. But nevertheless, we got everything figured out, and let's make sure we got sound. We had all kinds of issues. All right, we got sound. That's good. But here we are. It is a Thursday edition of the show here on the 440 Sports Show. My name is Sam Torres. Thanks so much for joining us today. Yesterday was a pretty fun day, a beautiful day for baseball. I can tell you that much. We had a lot of teams from our area playing yesterday, and I got the chance for the first time this year to head down to Andover, and we got to cover the Pymatuning Valley Lakers as they took on the Lakeside Dragons. Now, that one didn't necessarily go the way that PV went because Lakeside's offense was on fire yesterday. You look at, they had 8 players with over 2 hits in that game yesterday. RBIs galore. Their defense was on point. A couple really like amazing catches in that game yesterday. And, in the outfield, those outfielders really just doing a great job. And yesterday's player of the game, which was, it was pretty interesting to me because yesterday's player of the game ends up being a freshman that goes 3 for 3 from the plate with 3 RBIs. He had a stolen base. He had a triple. It was really just a big day for this young man. And the team as a whole, I mean, their pitcher, Anthony Wooten, had a great day yesterday. All they were firing on all cylinders. And, talking to, got a chance to kind of, conversate a little bit there with Coach Neil Crossan after the game. And, he talked about, really what was going on with they had some, they were kind of lower or getting down the line in pitching. And a couple of the pitchers that were on the hill yesterday for the PV Lakers, it was actually the first time that they had pitched because, they played like 7 games this week or today. Today will be the 7th game this week for them. And that's a beautiful thing. You know what? It's honest to God, it's the opposite problem of what we had last year. Last year, if you had a week last year where you got more than 2 games in, it was really something to kind of circle on your calendar because there was so much bad weather. But you look at this year, and we've got some teams with 10, some teams with even more than 10 games in already, and it's only April 13th. This week's been an absolutely beautiful, beautiful week. But before we go too much further, I do want to bring up our player of the game yesterday, Matthew Wagner from Lakeside. This freshman goes out there, and as I got a chance to talk to Coach Zyber and Coach Kiphart, and getting a chance to watch these guys, play, and this is the one who really stuck out. And his is a little bit of a cool one because yesterday when we got our player of the game interview, typically we take the athletes and we bring them behind the dugout and or something with a background. But the way that Andover and PV's field is situated in the back there, if we brought him behind the dugout, the sun would shine directly in his face or in the camera. So we decided, you know what, we're going to do it right here in the dugout with your teammates present. And what a great culture they've got going over there. These kids were all super hyped up for the freshman to be player of the game.
All right, I'm here with today's player of the game and the freshman, Matt Wagner. Today in their 23-0 win over PV, goes 3 for 3 from the plate with 3 RBIs. Matt, what was going on today?
I don't know. I feel like we came awake. Barrels were going for us. It just all fell together.
You did some pretty good work out there in the field as well. A lot of speed is what your the big name of your game. What are some of the things you did in the offseason to make sure you got ready for your freshman year at the high school levels?
I feel like football really got me. Helped me with my speed a lot. I worked on my hitting a lot, hitting off the tee. I feel like that helped me get prepared.
Well, it certainly worked, as today you guys could not miss. The Dragons were on fire. And your player of the game today, freshman Matt Wagner. Congratulations.
All right, that was Matt Wagner, the freshman from Lakeside High School, again going 3 for 3, and it was one of those games where we really had to get after the game and really kind of work the stat sheet, because there were so many players that did huge things in this game. I mean, and youth does not seem to be a problem over there at Lakeside right now, because their young guys are really producing. Matt Wagner is a freshman. Their catcher, Dylan Newsom, is a freshman. And he's great behind the plate. He's got a good bat as well. They've got a nice mix of some older, not older, but I guess upperclassmen in there too. Caleb Stitt is as solid as a rock out there. Alex DeSalvatore is very, very good. You've got guys like Cam Crockett who have a huge ability in the field with their ranginess and their wingspan. And then on the base path, he is the only one I've seen this year that has been able to perform a hook slide effectively, getting around a tag. It's just impressive. It's impressive to watch these guys play. You got Malachi Matlock out there as well. Malachi Matlock is one of those kids, incredibly fast. I'm sorry, Newsom is a sophomore. I thought he was a freshman. Malachi Matlock is one of those kids that he doesn't really need a huge hit. He's got the power, but he doesn't need it. He can get on once he gets on the base path. He's lightning fast. He's able to get tons and tons of steals. So, the trend for Lakeside baseball right now is 100% upward. Now you look. Let me make sure my math is right on this one. In the past two games for the Lakeside Dragons, the past 2 games that they've played, they have scored 39 runs. 39 runs for the Lakeside Dragons in 2 games. Offense has figured it out. I guess their only question going forward, and the question going on throughout the year, is will the pitching be able to keep up? Because the bats certainly have gotten their tails together. These kids are hitting the ball all over the field. So it's again, I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing where Lakeside goes with this one. They've shown they showed some real talent here in the last couple baseball games that we've covered. And they seem to have unlocked something. Now their next opponent is going to be today. And boy, are they going to get a chance. They're going to get a chance to prove themselves. They're going against the 6-0 Lutheran West Bulls. And I'll tell you this. I'll put this out there, and I can say this confidently. If Lakeside goes out and Lakeside can beat this really, really good Lutheran West team, because Lutheran West is one of those teams I kind of liken to, the Canfields, the Hobans, those teams on here that have gone so far into the tournaments in basketball and football. It's just a it's a sport that they're full of athletes. So if Lakeside can go out there and get a big win over Lutheran East, I think you can start talking about Lakeside as one of the top teams in the county. And you know what? They've got the momentum and they've got the talent. So I'm really interested to see if they can't get it done. I believe they can. I think they got a lot of talented guys over there. I think the coaches are doing a wonderful job with those guys. It was really a fun day yesterday. And as for PV is going to get a big challenge on today. As there's no rest for the weary. PV going to be taking on Kirtland today, which is a tough one. And then going into the weekend, they're going to have a doubleheader against their Valley rival in Grand Valley. So, the one thing about baseball is you got to have a short memory. You really do. I always go back to that interview that we did right here on the show with Coach Jeff Barger over at Edgewood. You got to go 1-0. You got to go 1-0. You can't be worried about what you did before, and you can't be worried about what's ahead of you. You got to take care of what's going on right now. And with PV, I think they're going to be just fine. This is the same PV that scored 17 runs in their previous game, as they played a pretty good Conneaut team too. So, I just think yesterday wasn't their day. And I think yesterday on the flip side of that was Lakeside's day. So, it was a really fun game to cover. You'll be able to check out the replay over on ysnlive.com. They did, we didn't get it. The replay is actually not going to get going until about the third inning, the top of the third, because during the first and second, we were still trying to get set up out there. Andover pretty far from me. So we couldn't get that one going from the first and the second inning. But after that, we had a pretty darn good baseball game right there in Andover. And I'm looking forward to getting out there again because it was a lot of fun. But as we're going through these games, you know what? Actually, I'm going to, because just yesterday we went kind of out of order and it messed my whole flow up. So here we're going to go to our first break. And when we come back from our break, we're going to go through the scoreboard. We're going to talk about some of the stuff coming up this weekend and go from there. And this is where I just want to remind everybody, if you know somebody with a business, with a product that has any inclination for advertising, this is a perfect place to do it, right here on the 440 Sports Show. This is Ashtabula's only daily sports morning talk show. Right here on YSN is a perfect place to advertise your product. It's a perfect place to advertise not only your product, but what your your values and those sort of things are. Almost 70 schools, almost 70 communities, almost 70 different demographics right here on YSN. And then not to mention, it's a great way to give back to the youth, whether it's locally or in Northeast Ohio, because all the way from the river to the lake, YSN has you covered, and you're going to get your product and your advertisement in front of those eyeballs. All the sponsorship and advertisement funds that we get are what helps us continue to do these broadcasts and continue to, provide these special moments for these special kids. So if you've got somebody who, you think would be interested in joining on our advertisements, if they've got some, anything like that, we'd love to hear from them. Hit me up on any of the social medias or go to ysnlive.com and click on the advertisement button. And you'll get all the information there. We'll get you taken care of, and make sure that your product and your commercial is going to be seen by a lot of people. And I think what should be most importantly, it's also going to help a lot of people. We'll be right back.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren. Driven by you.
"21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
All right, everybody, welcome back here to the 440 Sports Show. My name is Sam Torres. This is Ashtabula's first and only morning sports talk show. Thanks so much for joining today. We're going to get ready and bring over that scoreboard. You can find our scoreboard here over on ysnlive.com. Let's start running through some of these scores from yesterday. Austintown Fitch, 10. Carolina Academy, 9. Austintown Fitch down there in Myrtle Beach. And I'll tell you what, they've got some of the best in the business down there following them with Ty Bartell and DJ Oakley down there getting those games in. So they get the hometown flavor, even though they are ocean side. Brookfield, 18. Badger, 6. LeBray going to go 18-0 over Lordstown, as Youngstown East is going to fall to the Fighting Irish of Ursuline, 19-0. You got East Liverpool, who's going to get an 11-1 win over Beaver Local, and Mineral Ridge going 7-14 over East Palestine. Archbishop Hoban, 11-2, and Archbishop Hoban again. So we've talked about teams with an upward trend. Pretty soon Hoban is not going to have an upward trend anymore because there's nowhere to go from the top. This is a team that really is really very good at baseball. And again, it's not very surprising. They got state level athletes in every season. So why should spring be any different? Hoban going out there and getting the job done. You got Heartland Christian going 7-5 over Jackson Milton. Lakeside with the 23-0 win over PV. And we talked about that there at the beginning of the show. Wellsville going 14-4 over Lisbon. West Branch in a close one with a 3-2 win over Marlington. Martins Ferry going 11-4 over Edison. 22-0 Latonia going to fall to United. And Struthers falls to the Lakeview Bulldogs in a close one, 11-10. And we've talked about Struthers an absolute ton on this show. Another final from yesterday that I thought was up there, but it's not, is Edgewood going to take a loss to Cardinal 14-3, as they will now split the series, but Edgewood's still going to be in the driver's seat in the CVC Valley division. They got a chance to meet Jake Bean on the mound. And if you haven't seen Jake Bean over there at Cardinal and you're a baseball fan, make the trip to Middlefield or find out somebody that they're playing around you. That kid's the real deal, Holyfield. He's going to Kent State for a reason. Division I baseball player making Division I plays. All right, moving on over to the softball field. We've got Austintown Fitch. They're going to go 4-0 over Greenbrier. Canfield going 3-0 over Keizer. I think it's Keizer. If I'm wrong, you guys let me know. Ursuline going to go 11-8 over Bamberg. Bamberg, I'll tell you what, they don't want to see none of these Ohio teams anymore because they are getting the job done down there. Warren JFK bounces back from tough loss yesterday, and they're going to go 13-1 over Cleveland Central Catholic. We got South Range 14-4 over Chira. And Lakeside going to fall to Edgewood again in this, or no. Lakeside going to fall to Edgewood for the first time, this time on the softball side, 15-1. PV going to lose to Howland 9-1. Salem and Western Reserve coming out on top there, 13-8. United going to go 8-6 over Minerva. Beaver Local Softball getting a W here, 12-0 over East Liverpool. We got Columbiana, and they're flying high again, 23-1 over Southern Local. And then Ursuline going to go lose 1-6 to Aner down there in that Myrtle Beach tournament. And finally, Mineral Ridge falling to LeBray softball, 15-5. And I just want to bring up real quick these standings because this one right here is the most interesting standing for me. All the conferences are on here, but I kind of want to talk about the NE8 this morning. You look at this NE8, Poland 7-2, South Range 6-1-1 with a tie, and Lakeview 6-1. So Lakeview has already beat South Range this year, and I believe Lakeview's loss might be to Poland. But this conference is going to be an absolute struggle for whoever wins this conference. It's going to be really, really fun to see how this one shakes out because Lakeview, even with all of their winning baseball, is still pretty much being overlooked by a lot of people. And it's just wild to me, honestly. Like Lakeview, they started. It was the same way in football. You know what I mean? They went out there in football and they started off hot, and people kind of scoffed them off. And before you knew it, they were in second, third place in the division there as well. Now let's talk about softball here. So South Range atop the rankings with 7-1, and then Poland is 7-2 with 5-1 with their lone conference loss coming by way of the Jefferson Falcons. That Jefferson Falcons team is an offensive powerhouse. Go check those ladies out. They got a lot of they got a lot of girls who are hitting home runs. I think so far they've got 4 or 5 girls, all different girls who have hit home runs already on the season. They had a little bit of a tough start as they go against South Range is just very good. I mean, that's all there is to it. But I think you're going to see Jefferson start to creep on up in these standings here too. Just very, very cool stuff to kind of watch from afar. We head over to the AAC. You've got Canfield still in the driver's seat out there going 2-0. Although that's interesting because they are still in first place with Fitch having one more win than they do. But I don't necessarily understand the ranking system of all these conferences. Austintown Fitch softball, though, 8-0 and Canfield 9-0. And you know what? I got to find out when those girls are playing because that is a crash course. That game, and I'm sure it's going to be called by Ty Bartell, and he is going to do an absolute phenomenal job on that one. But those two being in the same conference, they're on a crash course for each other, and both of those teams are very, very good. Canfield and Austintown Fitch, and Sydney Watts for my money might be the best pitcher on the network. She's really, really good. If there's somebody better, then let's talk about it. That's not a slight toward anybody, so I don't want you to get all fired up. But they're going to meet on May 1st. So on May 1st, it's going to be a meeting of the Titans there, as May 1st and 2nd, Austintown Fitch and Canfield are going to split a series back and forth, 5-1, home and away. And you got Howland and Boardman and Warren G. Harding over on the Buckeye 8, which, not too, we only have a couple teams there on our this one is, I'm not sure what happened here, but the Lake Division is from next year. So this is an idea of kind of what you'll see from next year, but that division is wrong, and I'll go through some of that with you guys tomorrow. Over on the Eastern Buckeye Conference, you got West Branch, who is 6-1, and West Branch is another one. If you look at the power rankings, which let's just bring up those power rankings really quickly. We will have a new one coming out this week. Baseball power rankings, you had Poland, Warren, JFK, West Branch, South Range, Fitch, McDonald, and so obviously West Branch falling right there under number 3. Hold on, sorry, I didn't want to do that. I want to do that. But West Branch continuing their winning ways. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Now heading over to the EOAC, Columbiana with a 5-4 record, but 4-0 in their conference. So they've taken some losses outside of their conference, but inside of their conference, getting the job done. Wellsville right behind them, United, East Palestine, Southern, local Latonia, and over on the girls' side, though, you've got the girls Columbiana softball team, which is averaging something like 13 runs a game, 4-0 in their conference and 8-2 overall. So that one is going to be a pretty hotly contested one there as well, because United is pretty darn good too. Over in the MVAC, which, this is a big conference here. Crestview on top of the standings. Crestview, I'm starting to wonder if they're going to lose this year, because they are crazy good. And then LeBray, right on their tails. That's another one that they're going to meet each other soon. Over there in the Scarlet Division, you've got McDonald and Jackson Milton atop there. They're tied with a 5-1 record. On the softball side, Western Reserve and McDonald. That's another one. McDonald already has a pitcher who's thrown a no-hitter this year. And champion Gabby Gradishire is another one. If you haven't seen her, go check her out. But right behind her is a Brookfield team with the exact same record. So how about that MVAC, man? They are super, super competitive there. And as games get to going here in this NAC, Matthews is separating themselves early as they've got a 4-1 overall record, only 1-0 in the conference. So Badger is 2-2. These are out of date as it stands right now, because St. John, I know, is 2-1 and 1-0 in their conference. We will be covering St. John again tomorrow as they take on Bristol right here in Ashtabula. You head over to the softball side. You got PV at 4-0, perfect 4-0 in their conference, 6-1. And how about them? Bailey Alderman putting out some big days, some big numbers for this PV Lakers team. You head over to the softball side. Chalker, 2-0. St. John is now 1-2. But their conference play, I think, is really going to change. It's still early in the season, but as expected, the teams that are heavy to compete are up on the top of their conference. We'll see how it goes. Pitching is more important than bats always has. But it's true. It's true. You know, the bats are not unnecessary because you got to have some form of offense, but you don't have too many teams that are winning games, 20-21. At some point your pitching has to step up, and I will say that. And we've seen that with Fitch a couple times. Their pitching has been so good that within those low scoring games, they're almost a guaranteed winner in those. It's really interesting to see. You look over on the Portage Trail, and here comes Warren JFK. Now, again, Warren JFK is one of those teams that was a little bit lower ranked last week in the power, only because they hadn't played very many games. But here they are now, 2-0 in the conference already and 5-0 overall, and no signs of looking back. Warren JFK in good shape there. Over on the softball side, they're still waiting to get some conference games in, as their softball team is 0-1, but one still undefeated in conference play. And then heading over here to the Steel Valley Conference, and this one, Ursuline 4-3. Ursuline's been a little bit like an EKG this year as well. Way up, way down. They've gotten really pumped up for some of these games and showed that they're very, very talented. Sometimes that's not the case, and they get their butt kicked, but they turn around and do it again and start kicking butts of their own. So they're really interesting for me to watch because Ursuline is so infinitely talented over there. It's just it's a cool program to kind of keep up with because they have the ability to, honest to God, beat almost any team in the state. And, when they're really playing, they're fun to watch. So 1-0 in their conference. East is 1-0, but that I think that may be a typographical error. Cardinal Mooney is 1-4, and that's another one of ours. And Cheney still looking for their first win on the year. You'll be able to find all these stats, all these standings right here on ysnlive.com. It was a great, it was a great day for baseball and softball. Today, we're going to go through some of the games that are going to be right here on YSN. You're going to have Cardinal Mooney at Columbiana. That's going to be here, and that's boys baseball. Crestview and Struthers. That's going to be live from Scene Park. You got United at Niles. And that's going to be it for the baseball, as the Jackson Milton Warren JFK game has been canceled. Over on the softball side, you got South Range versus High Point. And South Range versus High Point, this is down there in that Myrtle Beach tournament. Austintown Fitch versus Elise Seton. That one also down there in that Myrtle Beach tournament. That one, South Range starting at 10 a.m. and Austintown Fitch starting at 12. Champion versus Brookfield. That's going to be a 5 o'clock start. Western Reserve at Struthers, 5 o'clock start. And then Jefferson at Edgewood. This one's going to be a pretty big one. Softball game over there at Edgewood. That's a 4:30 start, called by yours truly. We'll be over there, weather permitting, watching covering and broadcasting this one live from Edgewood. And then as tomorrow, we're going to have a whole bunch of games on the tap tomorrow, and we'll have to check this one out and see how this is, where it's going to go, because there's a lot more covered tomorrow than there is today. That is for sure. But we still got quite a few teams getting covered today. And yeah, absolutely, Mark. Fly Falcons, fly. That Fitch team is the real deal. It's been fun to watch them this year. It's been fun to watch them, baseball and softball. A lot of people were wondering how they were going to recover from, the loss of a big-time player, a kid who's just playing Division I baseball right now by the name of Joe Roth. And Fitch is responding to the call on both the baseball and the softball fields, and it's really fun to watch. I've had a fun time watching from up here and listening to Ty Bartell on those calls. The dude is just awesome. He's just awesome. So that's going to be it. I will see you guys today around 4:30 as we head over to Edgewood when they're taking on the Falcons. This one is going to be fun to watch, folks, because the Falcons have had a awakening here in this softball season. Again, I think that win over Poland has truly invigorated the team. This is a team that already has, the iron bats. Like they have been able to hit home runs and really, really score some runs here in this one this year. And holy smokes, like I can't wait to check this one out. And then on the Edgewood side, this is an Edgewood team that just stands at a meager 6-1. Now they do take a loss to Madison, but they're standing with 6 wins and ones. This is going to be a game. This is going to be a game. You're not going to want to miss it. It's right here at 4:30, live on YSN Live. I'll be on the call. It's softball. It's baseball season, the season that never stops, and I never would want it to. What an awesome time it's been so far. And as we head in, again, tomorrow we've got some big games. This weekend, my goodness, I almost forgot to talk about this weekend. So we've got a doubleheader on Saturday in the morning, and we've got boxing in the evening. This is going to be right at Niles at El Jalapeno in a heated tent. We're going to have about 20 boxing matches there. I'll be on the call with Elvis Torres, who is a very, very talented graphic design artist from the Cleveland area, as well as a boxer himself, spending years training and fighting in the circuit. This is a guy who knows a lot about boxing. I got the chance to call my first boxing match with him as we had our first boxing match on the network for the Rise of the Gladiators put together by Moreno Productions here in Ashtabula. That one featured Zari A.Z. Moreno, who's one of the best peewee boxers in the world. World ranked is that young man. This one, the Fight to Unite for Autism, is going to feature a young lady by the name of Zion Hensley, and she is a Gold Glove winner, a junior Olympian. This is a young lady you're going to be seeing in the Olympics very soon. She's super talented, almost prodigal. She's almost like a prodigy in what she's doing, and she's just a phenomenal athlete. And I'm super excited to get to call this one. Boxing is one of those sports that I've always loved since I was a kid, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see this. So this one's going to start at 5:00. It's over there at El Jalapeno in Niles. You'll be able to find it right here on ysnlive.com. Myself and Elvis Torres on the call. On top of that, on Saturday, we're going to have some baseball games too, because there's a doubleheader over at Jefferson. There's just so much stuff going on that day. I'm already looking forward to it. It's been a full week. It has really been a full week. But that's going to be my time this morning, folks. And I just want to thank all of you for joining us, not just today, but all the ones, every day. All of your support is very much appreciated. I thank all of you for the patience as we get things moving along. Sometimes they don't always go as smoothly as possible. And I'm just really proud to be able to bring this news and this information over to you guys and provide a little extra shine for these kids. So that's going to be my show today. My name is Sam Torres. Thanks so much for joining. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
This for the football. This for the football. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them ghosts. All from the football. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the football chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city, you wildin'. no show, no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and kinda got flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the fofo. This for the fofo. This for the fofo.